Hello everybody and welcome back to Flight Past, and today we are looking at Mission Albany. Don't ask me why it's called Mission Albany rather than Operation Albany. It is the name given to the 101st Airborne's operation on D-Day. And so we're going to look specifically at what they got up to once they dropped him. But before we do, I just want to just check my microphone. I just wanted to do a bit of maintenance to some of the things I've been saying. Someone reminded me on Discord, which you can join if you wish. The link is in the description, and you can find the notes that we're using today under D-Day. But the person mentioned to me when I was talking about Fort Bragg, how it had it seems to change its names in America depending on who's in the White House. The second time it was renamed Fort Bragg from Fort Liberty. It was actually named after a guy called Roland Leon Bragg, and not the Confederate General Braxton Bragg. So rather conveniently, they managed to find a soldier, paratrooper, who won the Silver Star for his gallantry, and he fought with the 513th Parachute Infantry Regiment, and he was involved in the Battle of the Bulge and all that sort of stuff. So it's very convenient that they got a guy called Bragg on that. So that's Fort Bragg. Second one, we were talking about the way that the 101st and 82nd Airborne were transported to the drop zone. And when we were doing our flight, I was guessing that it would involve coming south down to... we assumed they would use one of the Channel Islands. And it turns out that we were correct that they had some operation going on, and it actually was a buoy that was placed in the sea between Alderney, which is here, and Guernsey, which is here. And this allowed the planes to fix onto the transponder signal. They from a little bit of research, it looks like that they did try to fly at about 500 feet as they approached German radar. And they did have their lights off, apart from some formation lights. The stationary marker boat, or buoy, I think it might be a boat, was codenamed Hoboken. And you can... you can see on the scroll below, I've added some details about that. So that carried a Eureka beacon, and then the planes were carrying Rebecca transponder receivers to find their way in. And this meant that from that point they could then change course to a set course, and they were heading for a place called Port Bale, which is where we're going to start this stream today. And this is Port Bale here. So you can see that this uniquely shaped bay here would be easy to pick up as you're flying along. And this Port Bale was nicknamed Muleshoe. So today what we're going to do, we're going to fly this route in over the Cotentin Peninsula, and we're going to look at what happened on the that the 101st did. We'll be looking at a few of these batteries that they were asked to take out, and then we'll follow Lieutenant Richard Winter's path down to Brécourt Manor, and we'll finish off down here at this lock, which was was to be captured because it was what was controlling the flooding in the area. So let's get on it then. If you like this content, please help me out with a subscription and a like, and it means I can continue to make more. So I thought we'd jump in the Huey today. And let's get it settled, and we'll head in. We're not going to do it in the dark today. We've done all that. You can go back and look at some of the videos of where we tried to recreate some of the drops. I did find some information about the serial flights that go in. So let me just try and find that. So this there we go, the 101st Airborne. First of all, the Pathfinders, this is their sequence air movement. So as you can see, Pathfinder 3, the first PROV means provisional. They were in 3 C-47s from North Witham, and they were hitting the drop zone at 12:30. And so you can see there that they're flying in about 3 aircraft each, dropping in on these drop zones A, C and D. No drop zone B, that was going to be the 501st's designated drop zone, but pretty last minute, around about the 27th of May, they decided that it was too far to the west, and so they cancelled the drop, and the 501st then went in on the on drop zone B. Okay, let's head over. As you can see, the terrain on the Cotentin Peninsula, it's very lacking in distinguishing features. All the villages are pretty much the same size, same sort of churchyard and church. And the fields, as you can see, are these ones typical of this area of Normandy, which are known as the bocage. Very small fields that have, over the centuries, have piled up high banks and have a hedge on the top. And of course, this is the thing that Bradley and the 7th Army are going to find pretty difficult in the weeks ahead. So the 101st are coming in on a bunch of serials. This is the Pathfinders one. Let me change it now to show you the actual serials used by the 101st Airborne. And we're talking probably something in the region of 432 aircraft are used. Each serial contains anything between 36 and 54 C-47s. And all these serial numbers are chalked on the side of the plane so that the paratroopers board the correct one. They're flying in 500 feet. They're in V formation, so there's 3 aircraft in a V, and that V then joins up with 2 other Vs to make 9 aircraft. And the lead aircraft are the ones that contain the Rebecca receivers to pick up the Pathfinder's signal. So the serials are designed, scheduled to come over the drop zones every 6 minutes. And they'll be dropping sticks of paratroopers, a plane load, which is something in depending on their units and stuff. There'll be something between 15 and 18 men per stick. So we've already spoken that they, in previous episodes, that they would have been stood up and hooked on prior to coming across the coast. You don't want to be in one of these C-47s if it gets hit by flak. They don't have self-sealing fuel tanks, so if it does get hit and catches fire, you need to get out. So we know that there are several factors that affect the drop. There was the experience of the Pathfinders. Some of them had been in Sicily and were very experienced. Others hadn't been. So getting the markers working was an issue. Some of the Eurekas didn't work because of the impact or jolt of the jump. And we also know that there's the cloud bank as they came across the peninsula, and that scattered a lot of aircraft. And of course, once they've gone into a cloud bank, they tended to move away from each other, natural tendency. And so they would come out of a cloud bank, and they would lost their leader, who's got the Rebecca receiver signal, and so then they're just looking out like this, but at night, trying to guess. Presumably, they probably had a stopwatch going, and when they want to jump out. There was also ground fog, I believe, covering some of the drop zones. The flooded area of the Douve and the Modere had created cold water, obviously, that fog or mist would settle over, so that didn't help in identifying the correct drop zones. And of course, flak. Let's not forget that they're being shot at the same time. So that made the C-47s go faster and low. So, first drop zone, which we'll have a look at when we get to Sainte-Mère-Église, which is somewhere over here. It's drop zone A. It's the furthest north of the 101st Airborne's drop zones, and they start coming in at 0:48 and between 0:48 and 1:40 in the morning, which was British double summer time. And this is here is this is Sainte-Mère-Église. We just have a quick look here. So this, because it is one of the bigger towns on the peninsula, it obviously gets recognized, and then a lot of lost aircraft can say, right, well, if we drop our plane load around here, the guys will know where they are. And this crossroads you see here was it's more than a crossroads. It's a meeting of several roads at this point. Forget the modern bypass, but this was one of the key objectives of the 82nd Airborne on D-Day, to control these crossroads to prevent reinforcements coming down from the north, from Cherbourg, or from the south as well. So we will fly there now, but this is the area over here, which is the designated drop zone A. It's these fields here. So let's get back into the helicopter, and oh, by the way, we'll come back, but that field just down there is where Richard Winters landed. We have mentioned that before. So we're going to now follow the Lieutenant Colonel Steve Chapuis. He was 2nd Battalion, 502nd Paratroop Infantry. And he actually came down on the correct drop zone, and he headed towards the battery at Varaville. Now we're going to try and find that. I have put it on the... So we're going to head to Varaville. 1944, the 1261st German artillery regiment came here. It had 422 millimeter had 422mm Russian guns, and it had got pummeled. So this is the field just now on the nose. I don't think there's much evidence anymore of the battery. Let's just jump out. Oh, by the way, there's someone who is alive. If you want to join me, by the way, we're on the MX Rider 137. Nice. Just flew past in an F-18. If you want to join me, you can join me. We're on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and the server is West Europe. But this field here is the battery at, and this is Sainte-Mère-Église. This thing gets pummeled by Lancasters on the evening of the 28th and 29th. Let's just see if we can see any damage. Doesn't appear to be anything obvious. It was in, I believe, this field here. And then it was attacked again on the evening of the 5th and 6th, just before these guys arrive. This is an area that was flooded as well, down here. And this was the objective of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment, and it basically was protecting this road here. And if we quickly just fly down here with the drone, this is exit 4 from Utah Beach. And so, and you can see here, like, how low this land is, and you can see how it just gradually comes up onto this, hardly a rise, but it is one. And this means that this battery in this area here could zone in on that exit. There might even be one here as well. This might even be it, this road. And they could zone in on this exit 8, and it means that anything coming off the beach, then they won't be able to go across these areas because it's all flooded. So it was essential for the 101st Airborne to basically secure this this ridge above each of the exits, going down to number 1, which is in the south down there. So Chapuis, Lieutenant Colonel, he gets here and with his 2nd Battalion he attacks this area, but it turns out that the site has been abandoned. Later, the 1st Battalion of the 502nd, they arrive here. They're commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Cassidy, and he takes over the village. And so they've now secured their main objective of the day, which is to secure this village. And now they will protect this exit from German counterattacks from the north and the west. This allows the 1st and 2nd Battalions of the 22nd Infantry Regiment of the 4th Infantry Division to come off the beach. And they'll be important because they're going to now head up north here, and we'll just jump into the aircraft and we'll head to Asville. I am just going to just end this part here. Seems like a good place. I'll just update some of the information and we'll be back in a second. Okay, welcome back to Flight Past. And we're in the Huey. And we're going to follow these guys from the 22nd Infantry Regiment. And we're going to head up to a place called Asville, which is up to the north here. Now, Asville Battery is near to is to the north, and it was formed as part of the Atlantic War, and it could fire on the Utah beach, which was 9 miles to the end down there. There's a bit of more of a battle going on with this thing, so we could just quickly talk about that. So it was built in 1941, and it housed 4 105mm French First World War era artillery pieces. And then they were initially in open casements, but they were then put into open gun pits, but they were then put into casements. Of the 4 casements that were built, I believe there's 2 of them had flak guns. Number 1 had a flak gun on it, and also number 4. And there were other buildings as well involved. Now it should be here. I think I can see it here. Yeah. So on the nose is the Asville battery. It the Microsoft Flight Simulator has put in some generic buildings, but if we pause here, jump out, you'll be able to see that the buildings have the same shape from above, and you can see these 4 casements. I'm not sure what number they are, whether it goes 1 to 4 as it faces out to sea, or the other way around. And behind it has some bunkers for command and ammunition and things like that. They had enough ammunition probably for several days. 300 rounds is believed per gun. And these 105 millimeter guns could definitely hit the beach and the causeways coming off. So these were a serious issue and one of the main objectives. Each gun had a crew of 25. Flak guns on the roofs of 1 and 4 had teams of 5, I believe, and most of the soldiers are barracked and billeted in the village itself. Now, this battery didn't have line of sight from here on the beaches or anything like that, so they used fire control by another bunker called the Crispek battery, and this is this battery here. We'll come and talk about this one in a minute. Just so but you need to be aware of this battery here. So this one's a larger battery, and between here and the Asville battery, there is, I think it's been described as an armored, like a cable. I presume so it's a wired cable that's been protected from artillery. I'm not sure whether it's buried. It might be lightly buried, but it does mean it's these two batteries are in communication for all of D-Day and the next couple of days. Let me just change this. Let's find the as a little. There we go. Okay, so we're talking initially around about 170 people are here, and they're from the second company of the 1261st. This battery was commanded by Captain Hugo Trieber, but what happens is that he moves to the Crispek battery on the day, and so this one is actually controlled on the from D-Day onwards by Lieutenant Katnik. This is subjected to several bombardments. I'm not sure how much evidence is left. You can usually see this might be evidence there. It got attacked several times before D-Day, but it did get attacked. It's similar to the Varaville battery on the night of the 5th and 6th. It was attacked by the US Air Force. And in the first attack from troops came early in the morning from paratroopers of the 508th. They'd dropped in the wrong area, and but they came upon this battery, and they took the initiative and decided to attack it, but the Germans defenders easily held them off and pushed them back. And it's after that first initial attack, then Captain Trieber then goes off to the Crispek battery, leaving Lieutenant Katnik in control. So with fire control from the Crispek battery, this battery started attacking the Allied ships that were offshore from Utah, and seriously started hampering the 4th Infantry Division. The batteries fired upon by the US Nevada initially. In response, casement 4, let's say this one, is hit, but there's no, it does little damage. During the day, as the Allied bridgehead comes through, and there's obviously paratroopers are organizing themselves, around about 250, the population of this battery grows from 170 to about 250 as German soldiers retreat away from the bridgehead. And so it's during a day later, so this thing is still active on D-Day. It's when the guys that we mentioned, the 22nd Infantry Regiment, arrive. And with tanks, they approach along this road here from the southeast towards the battery. The Germans used their 105mm guns to engage the tanks, and they repel the attack. But continual pressure is put on by the Americans during the night of the 7th and 8th. And to the point where both batteries are being attacked, and at one point the Kriegsmarine commander of Kreuzberg orders the Asville battery to actually engage their fire onto their position in order to dislodge the Americans that are attacking at the time. And that, in doing that, it forces the Americans to retreat, and this battery takes 90 Americans prisoner. At the same time as the Asville is firing on the Kreuzberg, the Asville is getting attacked, and they're having to use the flak guns on top of casement 1 and 4 to fire upon the newly launched attack. And once again, the energy of the attack is peters out, and the Americans pull back. The Americans have got the advantage. You know, they can take a little bit, take their time, but they do need to get these batteries taken as soon as possible. So on the night of the 8th and 9th of June, the US Nevada out in the channel takes out casement number 1, and has a direct hit on the aperture and kills everybody inside. And on the morning, there's an artillery and tank bombardment, almost like a rolling barrage, that the 1st and 2nd Battalion of the infantry, 22nd Infantry Regiment, push on from behind. Again, it doesn't isn't successful, but they do manage to get to casement 1, and they blow it up. they bring up demolition charges to blow it up. It's during this attack then that Lieutenant Katnick, he calls out to the Crispec battery to do the same back to him that he did to them, and fire on his own position. The next tactic the Americans used as the approach, they used flamethrowers, and the flamethrowers they used ignited the munitions room, and took out the occupiers. And at this point, the Lieutenant Katnick is seriously injured. He contacts the Crispec command post and asks for permission to surrender. And so it's at 14:30 on the 9th of June that this bunker eventually surrenders. Of the 253 Germans in the battery, 78 are killed, and the rest are captured, and then a small group managed to escape in this direction to the north. Right, so let's jump back in the heli. You got to remember as well, these batteries are all surrounded by barbed wire minefields as well. Right, so let's head over to the Crispec battery. Sometimes it's known as the Marcouf battery because of the village nearby. And another one is it was built by the Tot organization. And this one had some basically naval cannons. They're 210 millimeter cannon. So these things are massive, and they can hit. It's believed they can hit things almost 20 miles away. Yeah, pretty big range. So this thing can cover the beaches all the way to Pont-de-Hoc. So this is a big boy. Okay, so let's just have a little fly around. So this is the battery here. So this this again was built in 1941, using Russian and Polish prisoners of war, and augmented by French workers. They contained, as I said, 210 millimeter guns. Let's find the scroll for this. It consisted of 3 210 millimeter guns, but only 2 of them were protected. You can see the shape of some of the bunkers casements here, and there's an open gun position here. So this had a command post, shelters for personnel, ammunition, and several defensive machine gun emplacements. It had a narrow trail that was difficult to attack from. To the it's in a reasonably high position. So this was the did have the line of sight to the ships, but it also, as you can see, it was difficult to approach from the east. It also was difficult to approach from the west. So there was open fields on both sides. They were relatively steep, and they were also waterlogged. And this position was operational from about 1942. So this is actually a Kriegsmarine station. It was commanded by a Navy Lieutenant Walter Olmsen, whom we just mentioned, was the guy who asked for the Asville battery to fire upon his position. And this had 287 men manning this this battery. Again, this gets peppered prior to D-Day, and again gets hit at 5 a.m. On D-Day. It actually is the first German position to recognize the fleet out in the English Channel. At 5 a.m. He spots it on his rangefinder, and he tells the Kriegsmarine headquarters at Cherbourg, which is to the north in this direction, and this then sets off a general German alarm throughout all the installations on the Atlantic coast. So they know at 5 o'clock what's going to happen. At 5:52 a.m., this battery is given orders to open fire on the ships, and then they were at the time about 11 miles, 17 kilometers out that way. In response, 5:55 a.m., the cruisers USS Tuscaloosa and USS Quincy, along with the USS Nevada, the battleship, opens fire on this position. And this battery sinks the USS Corey at 6:30 in the morning. 8 a.m. The Nevada hits the foremost casement gun. And which presumably is this one. And it is then joined as well by the USS Texas and the USS Arkansas. Now, they were originally assigned at that time to covering fire at Omaha. So to pull these ships off Omaha, and knowing how Omaha was going, to target this battery shows the how much they felt that this place was a threat. And these guys helped to silence this battery by 9 a.m. The second caseman is taken out by the Nevada, killing the whole crew. And the remaining gun wasn't big enough to reach the ships out to sea. So this gun instead at 11 a.m. starts firing on the beach, Utah beach, and on the sector ahead of Winterstander's Nest 5, which we'll have a look at when we go along to look at Utah later in the series. So this is okay, it can no longer hit the ships far out, but it is still causing issues to the material build-up and reinforcements that are coming out onto Utah Beach at 11 o'clock. So our friends, the 1st Battalion of the 22nd Infantry Regiment, begin to move towards this battery on the 7th of June at 7 a.m. and they approach from this village here. So they're going to move up and try to approach the battery from this direction. So they managed to take Sainte-Mère-Église, but they can't penetrate further because the 75mm flak guns are now lying flat and targeting down these roads here. You can probably see some of this damage. These patches look like old bomb craters. So with the support of the 105mm guns from the Asville battery, and this flak guns, the Americans pull back. And the commander managed to do a counterattack on the flanks of these guys. And it's at this stage, on the 7th of June, that a guy called Preston Neeland is killed. And if you can remember the film Saving Private Ryan, well, Ryan was Preston Neeland's brother. So he was one of those Neeland brothers where I believe 3 of them were killed, but in very close proximity time-wise. And so the mission was for the Rangers to go and get this this guy and pull him out. Just after this time, the one of the 210mm guns is put back into action and starts to re-engage the fleet. But it's immediately fired back upon and is taken out once more. And also by the afternoon, the Americans are now starting to bring up field artillery to start firing into the battery. And this artillery just continued to hit the battery all through the night of the 7th, to basically hamper their efforts at firing on the fleet and the beach. The 1st Battalion, 22nd Infantry, put in another attack at 10 a.m. on the 8th. They managed to retake this village. And at 1:30, the Navy lays down an artillery barrage, one of these rolling artillery barrages. You could probably see some of the scarring that may have done to the ground here. And this enables the 1st Battalion of the 22nd Infantry Regiment to get to the battery perimeter. And by this time, the Germans have fallen back on their shelters, and the 210mm guns are destroyed. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the Americans start blowing up shelters. And at this point, Walter Olmsson again orders the Asville battery to fire on his position, and forces the Americans once more to fall back. And they're forced back by counterattack all the way back to this village back here, which is called Dodainville. And that, as you can remember, is when the 90-odd prisoners of war are taken. So it's not until the 11th of June. So this battery has gone quiet, so it's no longer a priority anymore. But the battery itself has run out of ammunition, and it's also lacking in medical equipment for the wounded. And on the afternoon of the 11th, he gets a phone call from the admiral, basically in Cherbourg, Walter Hennecke, and he's instructed that he is to escape with as many men as possible. He leaves 21 German soldiers who are wounded, and he leaves the at the time I think it was 120 American prisoners behind. He breaks out through the American encirclement and heads north up this way to the German lines at Umeville, which is this area, basically is marked by this road here. This is Umeville here, and that is how the Crisbeck battery is finished. Right, let's take a quick break here, and when I come back, we'll look at Richard Winter's D-Day. Okay, welcome back. And so we are following the 101st Airborne's Mission Albany. Their operation on D-Day, and we're going to be looking at Richard Winters and his action. So let's head back now to Sainte-Mère-Église. And if anybody has any questions, then please just leave one in the chat, or you can leave it on the YouTube or on Discord. Now let me find the relevant scroll. Yes, this is Dick Winters. So we're head now back to Sainte-Mère-Église. Now Dick Winters' serial and stick was supposed to be landing in drop zone C, I believe, but they were one of the ones that got dropped in the wrong place. The internet is all alive with where it is he landed. But we'll go and see where people who are a lot more dedicated to this sort of thing have said. And but basically he lands to the west of Sainte-Mère-Église, and Sainte-Mère-Église is I can make it out here now. It's one of the largest towns on the Côte d'Azur, as I mentioned. It's likelihood if you get you can't find your leader in your C-47, you're going to follow the others, and this is why a lot of the 101st and 82nd Airborne get mixed up in this area around Sainte-Mère-Église. And so we've seen how some elements of the paratroopers, the 508th, use their initiative and just go off and attack a battery by themselves, even though they're not on target. I think in Richard Winters' case, he could have helped the 82nd secure the crossroads at Sainte-Mère-Église. He would have been aware of that objective, but obviously he must have thought that there was enough resources at Sainte-Mère-Église that his objective was to get himself to meet up with his company and his battalion, and so he had to head to Sainte-Marie-de-Mont. So this is the field where he comes down at about I think it's 1:30. Let me just jump out here. So yeah, this is this is believed to be the field. I think it's one of these two here. He comes down here. He obviously meets up with Lipton, Sergeant Carr with Lipton. He meets up with Joe Toy and Popeye Wynn, and he decides that his best action is to get down to his objective, which is down to the south. So how does he do that? Well, he knows that the main mission objective is to secure the exits. The 101st was to secure the exits from exit 4 to 1. So his best bet is to head towards the beach, and then he can then work south from there and be used or utilized wherever he's needed. So let's follow him. Three o'clock in the morning, and he now heads east. Let me just change this time, so we're talking 3. And heads presumably down one of these roads. Now, at they meet up with members of the 502nd, and they get to this junction here. Now, in the series of Band of Brothers, this junction makes them look like they're walking along a railway line, and they come across a bridge, but it's believed it was just a T-junction on the road, and it's this T-junction here. So let's just jump out here. So this is where Lipton, Malaki, Toy, Wim spot a German patrol. We're not sure which direction the patrol is going. It's 4 wagons, and it's near this T-junction here. And this is the road that Winters wants to get to, because this road runs parallel to the coast all the way down to the south. And he knows that if he follows this road here, he'll come to his Sainte-Marie-de-Mont and the exit 1. Okay, let's carry on. As we're heading to the south here, we'll be able to see drop zone C, which was where I believe he was trying to get to. It's basically on the right here. And then when we get down to the bottom, we'll see drop zone D. So he's going to follow this road here. Let's do that. At 6 o'clock, he meets up with Captain Jerry Gross. He's of D Company. And he's got 40 men. So all these troops are coming together and starting to merge back into a cohesive unit. He manages to pick up some weapons on the way. And it's about 8 kilometers down here. You can see Sainte-Marie-de-Mont now on the right, the church. And they get down to to this village here. So let's just pause here. Let's change some stuff just in case people are coming in late. So what we're at now is a place called Le Grand Chemin. And Winters gets to this place at about 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's try and find... And so it's from this place that we're going to now start talking about the Brécourt Manor. And what else we got? We got some notes for you. Here's some notes. I have this is the drops locations of the 101st, and we're now just north of the sort of green blob at the bottom there. Okay, so let's jump out. So this is Le Grand Chemin, and this is where basically Major Horton of the 2nd Battalion has set up his HQ, and this is where Winters by now has managed to pick up his an M1. He's got a revolver ammunition and all that sort of stuff. But easy company at this point is only 9 riflemen and 2 officers, and they've got 2 light machine guns, but one bazooka, but no ammunition for the bazooka. Now Major Horton here is organising the people who are coming in from the mist drops are coming in. He's got 2 main objectives basically, and that is to secure this these exits. Now the Grand Chemin makes a lot of sense. If you look at it like down here, you can see it's on a sort of a slight rise. It's controlling it's an area which you need to control in order to make sure that the 4th Infantry Division can come off the beach, and they're basically trying to protect these causeways and exits. Again, here's an exit. This is one of the causeways, and as we mentioned before, up at exit 8, this is exit, I believe, 1. This is all flooded area here. The only way off is on these causeways. Now, if you're here in a tank and trying to cross here, and the Germans have got artillery or anything up there, you're going to find it very difficult to come and get off. The batteries, any gun batteries in the area, can zero in on these roads, or have been zeroed in, so it makes it very difficult to get off. That then means that your forces are being, they're not stopping. They keep, all the material is piling onto this beach, and if they can't get off the causeway, it means that, as we said with the Crisbeck battery or the Azaville battery, and as we'll see in a second, the Brécourt battery, they've already got this beach zeroed in, and then they can then just do serious damage. So it's vital that these exits are controlled, and there's one there, and then there's another one up here. Now, so Major Horton is prioritizing these these exits. That's his main mission. So he gets Dick Winters up, and he basically tells him that I need a battery taken out. He doesn't even really tell him anything more than that. I don't think he knows anything more than that. All he's told is that there's some fire coming out of a hedgerow, and go and take care of it. So he grabs the people he's got. He goes and does a recce, and the gunfire. This is Lagrangeman. I'm not sure where Major Horton would be based, but the gunfire is coming from this hedgerow here. Winters comes up, and he does a recce of this battery. And what he finds is that there are 4 105mm howitzers, and they're firing on exit 2, which is presumably then the road that we just looked at. So he goes off and recces it, and what he has is now I've got some arrows I can use here. So he has let me find one. There we go. So we have a gun position here, and we've got another one. Probably. Let's just move my. Okay, so we're talking here. Here, and probably something like this. Might be a bit further along. And then he's got another one that is facing, is in this area here. And what he's going to do is basically do a pincer movement by coming from this way and from this way. Something roughly like that. And so he goes back and he gets his guys. And the time of this recce was around about 8:30. So he's marched all night, got there 8:30, sent on a recce. And of course the landings at the beaches has been going on for a couple of hours by now. He picks up in total about 12 men, I think it is, mainly from his company, but with some people from other companies. And he heads out to this thing. Now this battery, initially the artillery battery that was here, the people involved had pulled back, and it wasn't until, and they were just the normal sort of 700, just sort of artillery sort of people. I can't remember who they were with. But what happens is the Heideck, Friedrich von Heideck, he's German 6th Parachute Regiment. He realizes what's going on. He realizes that the 105mm guns in this field has been deserted, and he brings up his 6th Parachute Regiment, the Fallschirmjäger. He brings them up from Carentan, which is in the distance over there, and he brings them up to Sainte-Mère-Église, and then he pushes forward some elements, artillery elements, to this field to fire the guns. And this is why Winters believes that they were the 6th Parachute Regiment, even though they had been initially manned by people of the 1216th, I think it was, Artillery Regiment. So it's believed that there was around about 60 men on these guns, and there was more back at, or more here and coming up to Brécourt Manor. So this is Brécourt Manor, this collection of buildings. So he comes up, he wants covering fire, and he sends Compton and Malarkey to one side to provide covering fire, and another fire from this side giving covering fire. And you've got Lipton's famous tree is in this sort of area somewhere around here. And Winters leads the first charge to the first gun position, which was here. And as remember, it's in a sort of L-shaped formation, this battery. So he takes the first gun, and because the guns are in, it's described as a sort of a ditch, possibly a trench, maybe not particularly dug in. They were using the trees as camouflage, and it meant that what was providing them shelter, as it were, would also now provide Dick Winters and his men the same cover. He gets into this first gun and destroys the gun with placing TNT down its barrel, and then using a German stick grenade to set off the charges. And then they proceed with taking the second gun and the third gun, with Compton and Malarkey moving up. You then have Second Lieutenant Ronald Spears arrives with elements of the D Company, and they take on the fourth gun, which is also the one nearest to Brécourt Manor. And here he is seen to be super aggressive. He's running outside of the trenches, exposing them to the fire. There's actual, I believe, machine gun position here, designed to cover the rear. So he's taking fire from the north, sorry, from the west. So Spears gets this reputation as a exceedingly aggressive officer. There's the rumours of prisoners of war being shot, and it's a reputation that he keeps to the end of the war. But he's an excellent leader. So once the fourth gun is captured and destroyed, Winter's men begin to get pressure from the infantry that are in Brécourt Manor, and now because they're outnumbered and the guns are destroyed, there's no reason for them to stay here. So they withdraw, and as they withdraw, Winters finds this map. It's a German map, and it basically has every gun position marked on it. Every German artillery and machine guns on the Cotentin Peninsula. So he comes back to Le Grand Chemin. He meets the intelligent officer, Lieutenant Nixon, and he then passes that up the chain of command. And then we have, with the guns taken out, tanks can come up, and Winters then helps to direct the tanks to eliminate any further resistance in the area. So let's just finish now. I think we've done most of the things. Let's just jump back into the helicopter then. Oh, quick word then. The casualties. There was Private First Class John Halls. He was from A Company, but he was going along with them. He was hit by, I believe, a mortar and was killed. And there was also Warrant Officer Andrew Hill. He was actually part of the HQ battalion, and he wasn't actually part of the assault, but he was trying to find his way to headquarters of the 506th, and in doing so, he went towards the sound of fire and was hit. Another killed was Sergeant Julius Rusty Hook. He's from F Company, and he was with Spears on his assault. And wounded was Popeye Wynn. He got shot. So because of the success of the assault, Colonel Sink, who was the commander of the 506th, I have a photo, I believe. He recommends Dick Winters for the Medal of Honor, but because for some reason they only gave out one Medal of Honor per division, that would go to Lieutenant Colonel Robert Cole, and so Winters' award is downgraded to a Distinguished Service Cross. Later, there was a campaign to try to upgrade his medal, but I don't think it was successful. Right, let's head now to we should be able to see below us drop zone C. Sorry, drop zone D. And there is a Sainte-Mère-Église. So drop zone C was to the west of Sainte-Mère-Église. It had a very dispersed drop. So what else happened today? Colonel Sink also found word of another battery at Holdy, which is a manor post near Sainte-Mère-Église, and he pushes the Company C of the 506th up to take that out. Okay, so we'll head south now. Let's find the lock. So by the end of D-Day, most of the 101st missions had been completed, but some of the crossings on the Douve River hadn't been destroyed, and so the Germans could still move armoured units across. And so the destroying of the bridges over the Douvre became Major General Taylor's priority in the hours and the days ahead. So this is you can see the Douve River ahead of us here. So this became absolute priority. The Sainte-Mère-Église would be taken on the 7th of June. And we'll follow the exploits again as we move towards Carentan, which is here on our right. This here is the lock. This is what controls the water flow into the flooded areas. So this seems to be a good place to leave this off. We've been going for a bit now. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and you would like and subscribe to the channel. I tend to do this subject about once or twice a week. I'll try and get a regular slot when I can. We'll leave the 101st Airborne here, and in the next episode we'll talk about the 82nd Airborne and how they fared on D-Day itself. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.